This is the Villejuif Hospital, one of the biggest psychiatric establishments in the Paris region. 3,000 patients go through here every year for stays that last an average of 2 weeks. Kitty is a nurse. Each morning she checks that the patients have tidied their rooms properly. Morning, are you up? Yes, good morning, Kitty. Are you coming down? Yes, I'll come down, but I hope one of these days I'll be going up too. Okay, listen, tidy everything up and please redo your sheets and make your bed like I told you. I have to change the sheets every day? Well, no, not if they're still clean. Just make the bed properly. Okay, please. Nah, if I make the bed again, it'll get upset with me. It's been so nice to me. Not like that, not just the blanket. You've got to make the whole bed again. Patrick is schizophrenic. At 4 in the morning, he was raving outside the mayor's office in his town, screaming for them to open the doors. The police brought him to the hospital. Are you making an effort? Well, I'm not as good as you know. Come on, you know how to do it. Well, more or less, but even when I was in the army, I was always in trouble for not making my bed properly. Well, listen, I'm not as strict as the army. Patrick is a regular. At 33, this is his 10th time here. When he has an attack, he thinks he is invincible. He can run in front of a truck or jump from a window. And when the crisis is over, Patrick can't remember a thing. Dr. Espaz has been treating him for 7 years.
Bonjour, Monsieur Espaz.
Morning, Mr. Espaz. Good morning. Please sit down. Well, the thing is, and this is what's troubling me, to be honest, is that night I went to sleep in my bed at home, and the next thing I know, I wake up in the isolation room here. Yes, but what you don't remember is that after going to sleep at home, you woke up, and you were behaving bizarrely and might have been a danger to yourself. You were really ranting and raving, and the thing is, you weren't even conscious of it. You see, you still don't remember anything. Well, one thing I don't understand is that in the isolation cell there'd been a door. But when I came to and realized where I was, well, there wasn't a door anymore. You broke that door into little bits. I broke the door down, but I didn't see any bits. No, we cleared everything up and we took the door away. It was beyond repair. So we've adapted the treatment for you accordingly, okay? But can I still try and be funny? What? Funny? Be funny. Well, you're still allowed to be funny. Okay, bye for now then. We'll make even the curtains laugh. So, how'd it go? Well, it was good, yeah. We've reached a sort of conclusion. And even if you can't see it, but it's there.
Ça ne coûte rien, mais ça existe.
Before being brought here, his father had been very worried and had called the police. Patrick was behaving violently and could have hurt himself. He was putting his own life at risk. Not because he was suicidal or wanted to die. No, it was just because he was doing dangerous things, which might have killed him. It's as if you were trying to cross the motorway with cars zooming past at 80 miles an hour and thinking you're invincible or untouchable. That kind of thing. I mean, you're risking your life there without really wanting to. Well, Patrick's like that. He might do things other people would consider very dangerous. It only lasts for less than 24 hours, but it was a tough 24 hours. Treatment starts with breakfast. Patrick is undergoing treatment for his schizophrenia, and the nurse makes sure that the patients take their pills. Patrick, please swallow your pills and then clear the table. The medicines will allow the patient to get back to the real world, to get away from his imaginary world. And that way, he'll also be able to get back to a normal life, with normal contacts with the rest of the world, and with his family and work. He'll also be able to leave the hospital fairly quickly. If all goes well, Patrick will leave in 2 weeks' time. That's the average stay in this hospital. When he leaves, he will be simply stabilized, thanks to his medication, because schizophrenia is an illness that cannot be cured. Activity is rare here. The TV room is one of the sole distractions. It also serves as the smoking room. Well, we take the cable because otherwise at night they take it away. Why? What, to stop us watching the TV all night? Oh, which means we can't use the smoking room or the TV room to smoke at night time. And I'm talking cigarettes here, not just joints.
Nous fumons des cigarettes.
It's to avoid someone staying up very late because of insomnia. Yeah, insomnia. Because of insomnia. You see, I got stuck there. It's all right. We can do it again in 15 seconds. We can start again. Okay, let's start again. So we're not allowed to... no. But anyway, what it boils down to is that banning TV here means that law and order has to be restored. Mark my words. Law and order has to be restored. But we know what's really going on here. It's that the VAT in this place will go up, while it's the VAT on food that should be going down, and we'll be the ones to make sure law and order are restored. And no, I'm not a royalist. This evening, Patrick has secretly been smoking. Nurses caught him twice, in the TV room and in the grounds. Psychiatrists are unanimous. Aggravates schizophrenia and in certain cases can even trigger it. Early next morning, he is summoned to Dr. Espaz's office. I asked you to see me this morning because it appears you've been doing drugs again. Last night and this morning in the courtyard. No, I didn't. No, come on, we've been suspecting it for several days now. I didn't smoke a yesterday. In the courtyard. I may have rolled one, but I didn't smoke it. Oh, come on, the nurses weren't born yesterday. They know when you've had it. You know they know. Yes, of course we know. You can't be treated in hospital and at the same time smoke dope. That causes you terrible damage. They don't mix. You've got to realize that. I'm right. Right? Okay, I agree with you. Good. But if you think about it, after all the cannabis that I've been through since I started smoking it, well, you'd think my body wouldn't have a single neuron left. Well, so much the better that your neurons, as you say, have been able to withstand all the dope you smoked. I agree, that's good. But what we don't want is for things to end badly. We're here to help to make sure that things are good for you in the future, not to witness your end. You do agree, don't you? It could be like from a song. You know, it's the decadence. No, we're not talking about songs here. We're talking about you. And the idea is that you'll be out as soon as possible and be able to lead your life properly. So, this is what we'll do. For the next week, you're not allowed outside in the gardens, and you'll have to wear your pajamas instead of your day clothes. Okay? All right, that's it for now. Carry on over the weekend, and I'll see you at the beginning of next week to see how things went over the weekend and see if we might reconsider. All right, so Patrick, please go up and put your pajamas now, Patrick. And so I put my pajama on, so I'll be wearing pajamas, of course. Well, you know, at school they invented smocks and that kind of thing, and here they've come up with pajamas. That's enough, Patrick. Just go upstairs and get into your pajamas, please. Pajamas are a symbolic punishment designed to make Patrick aware of the seriousness of his actions. Drugs are a scourge. They prevent the medication from working. In the end, they can make Patrick immune to any medication and imprison him in his delirium. Well, you see, there's no question that hash has a very deleterious effect on patients that are ill, who are already fragile mentally. And any given day, there are, I don't know, about 5, 6, or 7 patients whose conditions are being made far worse by the fact that they do smoke hash. Decompensation. That means provoke a breakdown in psychic balance. And let's have a spiritual dialogue, my dear. Okay, let's try and write a song. Romain, Patrick's friend, also has problems with drugs. Let's remove this anguish that speaks to the Holy Spirit. Okay. My Valium, yes, yes, yes. My Valium, yes, yes, yes. My Valium. My medicine, watch out. My Valium, no, no, no. My Valium, no, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. I smoke dope and that doesn't help my illness. I'm a psychotic drug addict. I take Valium at 9 o'clock. 30 drops of Valium to help me get over my withdrawal symptoms. It helps me take my mind off drugs. It relaxes me. Can I sing you the rudest song I know? Oh, no, no thanks. How I love you, how I love you. Patrick has been in the hospital for a week. He's no longer a danger to himself, but the doctors don't consider that he's in any state to leave. The crisis isn't over, and according to them, there's a telltale sign. He's still going on with his wordplay, his delirium, and his digressions. I need to see the gynecologist. I think I have an intrauterine pregnancy. Are you sure you're pregnant? Yeah, intrauterine, yes. Intrauterine. Oh, extrauterine. Oh, a bit like the Virgin Mary. It's dangerous, you know. But listen, what's important to know is when John entered the temple, when Zacharias closed his mouth. And why did they call him John, which wasn't a Jewish name at all? It's because John was as good as ham. That's why, you see? Very good. Oh, you know, if I'd been the king, I'd have made you a marquis right here on the spot. Maybe in a week, Patrick will go home, on condition that he follows the course of treatment and stops the. There are several forms of schizophrenia. The most common are the ones where people are delusional. They suffer hallucinations. And then there's the kind that develops when people cannot cope with society in general, with the outside world, and are unable to behave in an acceptable manner. We're in the Paris area. Monsieur Sommier is making breakfast for his son, Michael. But Michael refuses to come down from his room. So Michael's not well today? No, he's not. He's been in bed since yesterday, the day before, really. And there were signs before that he'd be in this state. Like Patrick, Michael has a psychiatric illness. He's 25, and since the age of 17, he's also lost contact with reality. This morning, Michael is having an attack. Hello, Mikey. How's it going? Not feeling too well?
C'est pas la pêche?
No, not really.
Bon.
Okay. Would you like to be alone? Yes. So how's it going? Good? Not so good? Oh, I'm all right. I'll be up in a minute. I'll be okay. At times like these, there's nothing that even parents can do.
On va te laisser, Michael.
All right, well, we'll leave you to it, Mikey.
D'accord.
Just give me a minute, then I'll be up. Okay, well, I'll see you in just a sec then. Well, you see, when he pulls the sheets up over to cover his face like that, that's when he's in his other world. And when he says he'll be down shortly, that means he might not be down for hours, or he might never come down. Nobody can say how long Michael will remain prostrate in his bed. His longest attack lasted more than a month.
Salut!
Hi there. Michael's father and mother both work for the Paris subway. They have arranged their working hours so that one of them can always be with Michael.
Ça va?
Okay. Yep. How'd it go? Oh, you know. Oh, well, that's good then. How's my son? A bit slow this morning. He's in bed. Are you going to get changed and then come down? This is what our life's like now. It's not easy to accept, even if we still have the willpower to get through it every day. There's no way we're going to give up. No way. For his sake, of course, and his little sister's, and for my wife's sake, and for mine. 4 hours later, and Michael is still in bed.
Voilà, il est toujours...
Right, it's 12:45 now, and he's still in bed.
Il s'en est écoulé du temps.
He's just letting the time go by. No sign of him.
Il n'est toujours pas descendu.
Tu vas prendre
Are you going to take your pills? Huh?
venir manger avec nous?
Are you going to come and eat with us? Yeah. Is that yes? Yes.
Tu t'es pas levé du tout ce
You haven't got up at all today, not even for breakfast?
Ton petit-déj, rien?
No.
Ça va faire bientôt 5 ans que j'ai cette maladie. Au début,
I've been ill for almost 5 years. To begin with, I was depressed
c'est triste et malheureux.
and I was unhappy. Sometimes I felt like almost killing the people around me. But after it clears, you have all these ideas in your head, but you don't act on them.
Je fais tout et rien, quoi. Tout passe par la tête, mais on fait rien, quoi, en fait. Je veux pas dire que je vais mal, je suis pas.
I can't really complain that I'm ill. I'm not in a wheelchair and I'm not autistic.
C'est un coup je vais bien, un coup je vais mal, mais.
I'm just living in my own world every day. Sometimes I'm fine, sometimes I'm not. The trouble is that it's the illness that's controlling me. I have no say in it. I could become ill just like that. I'm at its mercy.
Moi malade, moi je peux pas savoir, c'est pas moi qui décide. Hein.
T'enfiles un pantalon.
Put on your trousers, get combed, and come and have lunch with us.
On est après lui, c'est pour
We keep on at him to try and shake him up, to stimulate him, get him to snap out of it. But we know he can't react in the same way that we can.
Il peut pas réagir comme
On essaie
nous.
d'être gentil.
We've tried everything. We've tried being nice, being unpleasant, even screaming at him. It makes no difference. We know him now when he's having an attack. We tried everything.
Crise de folie, c'est pas des...
They're not mad outbursts. They're not really attacks. We shake him up. We tell him to come and have a good time with us. We tried, but he hasn't improved.
C'est vrai que quand il va bien.
Sure, when he's all right, we tell ourselves, well, it's okay. But we've learned to ask, well, for how long will it last this time?
Pour combien de temps ça va aller? Donc on en.
So we try and make the most out of it. And as soon as we start seeing the symptoms, well, we know he's about to have another turn. It really hurts.
C'est pas juste.
It's not fair. It's just not fair.
Pourquoi?
Why him? He's never hurt anyone. And why isn't there a cure?
Et puis voilà,
Well, it's just the way it is.
c'est comme ça. Hein.
After 5 hours, without anyone really knowing why, Michael manages to get out of bed.
Pris tes médicaments?
Have you taken your medicines? Yep.
J'avais d'enfiler un pantalon.
What about your trousers? You didn't want them, eh? No, I didn't feel like it. Yeah, as usual.
Comme d'hab, quoi.
Michael won't say much more. He barely utters a word before sitting at the table.
Hey, chef!
Hey, come on, cook.
Merci.
Madam is served.
Tu devais pas aller à la mission locale aussi aujourd'hui?
Weren't you meant to go to the centre today? Should we cancel, or isn't it worth it?
C'est pas la peine, quoi.
So it's not worth it, right? No.
Non? Rien du tout?
During the whole meal, he remains detached from everything around him.
Non?
Anything to say? No?
Hello?
Hello? Yeah, I'm here.
Tiens,
Here, have some water.
bois, j'arrive.
Drink something.
Hello? Bois.
Drink something. I'm fine. No, you have to drink, you know.
T'en veux?
Have some.
T'en veux?
Okay, I'll have some, and then I think I'll go back to bed. Are you tired? Yeah.
Il profite de rien, quoi.
He can't enjoy anything. He would like to be with us, I know it.
Il souffre.
He must be suffering. We're certainly suffering, seeing him in that condition.
On essaye de
We try and encourage him, but it seems to be useless.
Quand il est pas bien, ben voilà.
When he's not well, then he eats like someone with bulimia. He eats very quickly, almost without tasting it.
Il profite de
They seem to last forever, these occasions.
période qui dure trop longtemps.
It's not living.
Mon fils, il vit pas.
On n'a jamais vu notre enfant.
You know, we've never seen our child cry.
Il sait même pas pleurer.
No, there are no tears, not even tears of joy.
C'est le heureux, le malheureux. S'il y a quelque chose qui lui fait plaisir.
We can't tell if he's happy or sad, if there's anything that he might like. I've tried to get him to tell us about his feelings.
On sait pas. C'est le rituel amical.
I don't know. That's his ritual. Eat in 5 minutes and... Well, usually I'd have finished already. I'd have left by now. Yep.
Oui.
Bon, à tout à l'heure.
See you later.
Ouais.
Yep.
Alors, c'est tout le temps comme ça.
It's always like this. Michael has retreated into his own world. Nobody, not even his parents, can tell when he will come out of it. Magali is 22. She's also schizophrenic. She can suffer attacks of untold violence. When she's having an attack, her days are marked by the same rituals. Every morning, she goes to the baker's. Her aunt, who adopted her when she was little, has to be sitting beside her to reassure her, but also to watch her, because at the least lapse of attention, Magali may grab the chance to do something stupid. So Magali isn't allowed to open the door by herself? No, we've locked it, because twice now she's opened the door while we were on the motorway. She might have got run over.
Donc, il y a un danger qu'elle se fasse écraser.
At the baker's, Magali asks for the bread, but she doesn't pay. It's impossible for her to have the least physical contact with another person.
Bonjour.
Good morning. A baguette, please.
Tiens, je peux pas payer.
I can't pay.
Je donne le matin.
Au revoir.
Goodbye.
Je me sens
I
agressée.
feel like I'm being assaulted
quand
when someone touches me. Ever since she's been schizophrenic, Magali lives in a state of permanent anxiety.
Depuis que j'ai cette maladie,
Since I've been ill, I'm scared of being in crowds and people looking at me.
peur du regard des gens. Quand on me regarde,
I
c'est
think
comme si
when they look at
on
me
me
that they
tuait,
want to
des
kill
trucs
me.
comme ça, quoi.
You know, that kind of thing. Crowds, loud noise, open spaces, or shopping in department stores are terrifying ordeals for her. Any of these factors could trigger hallucinations.
Dans les magasins, je vois des gens derrière
In the
moi,
shops,
je
when I
vois
see
un
people
jour,
near me or behind me, I hear them calling my name. Magali, they say.
J'ai eu des hallucinations
I have
terribles.
terrible
Je me
hallucinations.
trouvais dans un magasin de
Once I was in
sport.
a sports shop and I saw a man who was holding a gun, and I thought I was in a hold-up or being taken hostage or something. So the first thing I did was tell my aunt that we had to leave right away, or we'd all be taken hostage. And I would have gone, and then I'd have been safe. Well, you know, the strange thing is that she knows fully well that she's just imagining all of this. What, at the time? Well, within 5 minutes anyway. Okay, fruit juice. Yeah, I'll go and get some fruit juice. I'll wait here. Oh yeah, make sure you do. For once, Magali wanders several yards from her aunt. For her, that's an achievement. When my aunt's not there, I get nervous. If there's no one from my family close by, then I get scared. But you did it this time. I did it, but it was hard, and I had to run. Like all schizophrenics, Magali not only has visual hallucinations, but auditory ones as well. I hear voices, horrible voices, always nasty voices. I get so scared, so scared. Don't you try and block them out? No, because I seem to let them in. These are voices I can clearly understand. I can even repeat what they say. I can say it. It all started during a trip to Greece when Magali was 17. She was in a summer camp, and one fine day, her delirious behavior alarmed the counselors.
Elle avait mis sa vie en danger en Grèce, donc on l'a fait rapatrier.
In Greece, she might have killed herself, so we had her sent back home. And when she came back, we could hardly recognize Magali. She'd been so happy when she'd left, but now her eyes were dead. She began screaming. And at home, we couldn't make her use the bathroom. Impossible. She was shouting and screaming for hours on end. So the next day we took her to see a private psychiatrist. And as soon as he saw her, he said, "You need to take her to the psychiatric hospital immediately." There were several warning signs that should have alerted the family. Magali was at the critical age. It's generally between 17 and 25 that the illness becomes apparent. And for some time at school, she was seeing strange things. I was in college and I could see all these people who were flying right behind me. And there I was flying too, just like a bird. And by the end of the year, I was talking to my pencils. I was telling them, don't leave me. Is that why you're ill, from fear of being abandoned? Yes, being abandoned and lots of other things from my past. Abandonment. Magali's life is littered with wounds and breakdowns. 20 years ago, she made the headlines. Abandoned by her parents, at age 3, she was passed around from foster family to children's homes. She was then taken in by her uncle and aunt. In 1987, the court in Lyon granted them custody of Magali. But she is still afraid of being abandoned. She hasn't seen her mother for 19 years. I'd like to see her one day and explain all the suffering I've been through all these years. Did being abandoned trigger Magali's schizophrenia? For psychiatrist Philippe Nuss, there are always multiple origins for this disease.
Les causes de schizophrénie, donc il y en a une partie qui sont.
Well, schizophrenia is partially the result of genetics, but can also be due to some terrible experience in childhood, a trauma. But neither reason is mutually exclusive. Half of the illness is due to genes, the other half to outside factors. A difficult family environment for Magali. 2 years ago, she discovered she had a sister. She meets her and wants to see her again. But a few days later, Magali gets a text message. So my sister had written, "We're divided by two worlds, and it's not easy to make up for all the lost years. But I believe when you finally overcome your problems, then we can get to know each other. But for now, I can't accept your illness. This might hurt you, but in life you reap what you sow. And in life, if you really want to, then you can." I was really affected by the message. It's the only one I ever had from my sister, and it hurt me very much. Like all parents of schizophrenics, her aunt fears that Magali will try to put an end to her life. 30% of patients with schizophrenia have suicidal tendencies. She suffers so much, she often talks about killing herself. She suffers all the time, every day, all the time, always. I try and see it through, but it's true, I do think about suicide. I keep trying to go on because of my family. I love them so much. They've never hurt me, and I don't want to ever hurt them. We see her in so much pain and wonder, how can she keep it up? How can she go on?
Mes absences, parfois sans doute, j'aurais pu m'éloigner.
Before she became schizophrenic, Magali had one passion, music. It's the only thing the illness hasn't taken from her.
Juste pour le dire, je ne vous oublie pas, non jamais, vous êtes au creux de moi. Quand je suis mal,
When I'm ill and really down, I turn to music to get my spirits up, to free me. It's a way I can express myself, to forget my sorrow. My sadness floats away on the music.
Au fond de ma souffrance, quoi. Et je fais passer à travers les notes de musique.
Alors mes bonheurs, mes déchirures se partagent avec vous. C'est notre histoire à nous. Je ne vous oublie pas.
Music doesn't always succeed in calming Magali. She might have an attack at any moment. Violent attacks that terrify the whole family. At each meal, it's Magali who sets the menu. The least upset may send her into an insane rage. At table, she makes sure that everybody finishes his or her meal, especially her cousin Sylvie, her principal victim. You know, sometimes I'd like a smaller helping. Occasionally, I'm not as hungry as usual, you know. But even if you're not hungry, you still need to eat. Yes, but I have to like what's on my plate to be able to eat something. I have to eat, and eat all of it. I have to finish it all up, mind you. So, well, sometimes. But I have to. Are you afraid to set off a crisis if you don't? But in any case, I know it. I could still set off a crisis. What if you don't eat? Yeah, absolutely. And that's not all. After the main course, Magali also chooses her cousin's dessert. This week, it's fruit compote and nothing else. I said fruit when I asked for fruit, and you told me you ate fruit last week, so no more this week. I have to admit that I'm not too keen on yogurt. I'm not really into desserts. Yes, you are. Sometimes you really like them. Sylvie, why don't you stop eating dessert then? Because I can't. It's impossible. I have to have my dessert at lunchtime. It's to reassure her, to reassure Magali. Well, yeah, I feel better if she has a dessert. That she eats something. She doesn't understand that the time when she'd lost a lot of weight, that really got to me. It upset me. When Sylvie was thin like that, what were you thinking? Well, it made me think of ghosts and the dead. Dead people and ghosts. What, every time? Yes. It must be tough for you, Sylvie. Well, yes, it is. And we spend every day trying to calm things down, all our time, all the time, all the time. Despite their precautions, they don't always succeed in preventing Magali's delirium. Last Saturday, my aunt went to buy fruit in the village. My uncle was with me in the car, and I asked my uncle very politely if he could turn on the heating. But my uncle turned round to me and said, "It's not you who's paying for the petrol, you know." And I felt insulted and threatened. So when we got home, I started breaking everything up. The wardrobe, my bed, I broke everything, the supports as well, everything. I ripped down my curtains, I wrote swear words on the wall, and then stabbed the wall with some scissors. When I go crazy like that, no one can stop me. I'm off in my own world. It's best not to try and intervene because I might take it out on someone. Has that happened? Yes, I have taken it out on her. Yeah, she kicks and punches me. Sometimes I've got bruises all over. And once a neighbor came in to help get things settled down. The trouble is that she hurts herself as well. After the crisis is over and I've recovered, I realize what I've done. And I say to myself that I was wrong. It was bad. I try and analyze it, and then I get cross with myself. Her aunt used to work in the market, but Magali used to phone her all day long. Jeanette had to quit her job. Now she regrets it. After I stopped working, Magali's condition worsened. Now she's sealed herself in entirely. What I mean is we're all there with her. All we do is look after her. It's a really serious thing, her illness. Do you feel responsible? Oh yes, a bit, of course. Even if people tell us, no, it's not our fault, we still feel guilty. Well, what would you have done differently? Well, not to cocoon her like we did, to have kept pushing and pushing. Make her go outside, because after 5 years we now see her life is in a sort of limbo. She's no longer living, just surviving. At 22 years old, you should want to do what any 22-year-old would be doing. But for the moment, Magali is unable to live like other young women of her age. Back in the Villejuif hospital, after 2 weeks' hospitalization, Patrick is going home. I'm never coming back. Not unless they use force. Well then, that's not up to me. So who's it up to, old chap?
Ça dépend de qui. ça
Who's it
dépend
up
de
to? It
l'énergie.
depends on whatever energy's flying around, on the police. I don't know, when I upset the police. Patrick leaves for home, but there's a risk he'll soon be back. The previous times this patient has been hospitalized, it was due to his having stopped taking his medicines and for having smoked a lot of hash. And knowing him, I doubt he's going to keep up his treatments for terribly long. I'd say that within a month or maybe 2, he's probably going to be brought back here. But it's possible that after deciding to ignore their medicines and a few more stays in hospital, people like him might finally come round to realizing they need to keep up their treatment. And then we won't be seeing them here anymore. Well, good luck.
Merci, je
Thanks. I'll remain a surrealist, but not one of your
pas
clients.
sur vos listes.
Patrick, are you happy to be out?
Oui, je suis extrêmement.
I'm really happy to be outside again. Now I can carry on my surrealist work.
Et
And I hope to get on with my life
bien faire quelque chose de ma
and
vie.
stop annoying my family.
À ma famille tout le temps.
At home, he joins his father, Fidi, who is of Malagasy origin. Patrick's mother died when he was 15. Since he was diagnosed as schizophrenic, his father has never left him. Patrick has a passion, painting. Fidi tries to understand his son's paintings, even if he sometimes has difficulty. I've never understood this painting. It must be what's inside Patrick's head. It's a real mix of God knows what. Only he can make sense of it. I certainly can't. I understand absolutely nothing.
Bah, tu sais, dans l'art contemporain, il y a beaucoup de choses qu'on ne comprend pas.
Pourquoi ici on voit la tête de personne?
For Patrick's father, there's no respite. His son's health is a daily concern.
Dès qu'il se lève, il faut toujours que je pose la question, ça va?
I ask him if he's okay first thing in the morning. Tell me if there's anything wrong, I say, because then at least I'll know what to do.
Je sais que ce qu'il faut faire.
Avoid an attack at all costs. That's his main concern. During these periods, Patrick becomes very violent, impossible to control. He no longer recognizes anybody, not his father, nor his brother Bertrand. The only solution is to call the police or the fire service, the only 2 state services that will come out for cases like this.
Quand il est en crise, je sais pas.
When he's having an attack, he's like totally out of control. Sometimes Bertrand has to resort to punching him. I can't. I can't bring myself to hit him.
Moi, ce que je demande comme aide, c'est.
Well, all I ask for in the way of help is that, you know, as soon as a crisis starts, that I can pick up the phone
Quelqu'un à l'hôpital,
and call the hospital for help.
de l'aide, quoi.
And the nurses or an ambulance, that they come and take Patrick away to the hospital.
C'est tout ce qu'on demande.
Well, that's what I'd like, but it's not the way it works.
On entrevoit. Et surtout-
What happens is something less subtle. The police need to be involved, and they can be tough.
Surtout donc la police.
They don't know about people like Patrick.
Ce qu'on leur demande, eux,
For them, it's just a matter of breaking down the door and throwing on a pair of handcuffs, and off they go.
C'était très difficile pour nous, hein. Bon, évidemment.
Well, the first few times, it was very difficult for us. We're a bit more used to it now, but it's still very bad.
Patrick, bonjour.
Salut Gérard.
Gerard, the neighbor, has witnessed several attacks, screaming, deafening music, or delirious conversations. He's finally got used to it. Well, he's a bit special as a neighbor. Yeah, I think you can definitely say he's different. Yeah, with all my changes in mood, right? Well, sometimes he's fine and we chat like anybody else. He's funny, he's cultivated, he's a painter, so he's quite sensitive. But, you know, at other times, when he has his lapses, he becomes a totally different character. More colourful, can we say, and certainly more aggressive and provocative. It's funny, he seems to get his attacks at around the same sort of times, you know, near Christmas. Must be his present for the whole block. Well, I've been sick for a long time, so I've taught myself to stop worrying about what others may think about me. I'd never get on otherwise. I'd be stuck worrying the whole time what others think.
Je pourrais pas avancer si j'étais tout le temps pris par le regard de l'autre.
Everybody in the neighborhood knows Patrick. The owner of the local cafe feels sorry for him.
Salut Jean-François.
Hi, Jean-François. Hey, how are you, Patrick? Good, good. And you? Yeah, no, fine. Everything's all right then? Yeah, everything's under control. So you're better now? Yeah, I'm fine. Oh, it's been a while. How long has it been? 2 months? 2-3 months? Have you seen him during his bad times? Yes, very bad times. Well, what do you mean? Well, I've seen him when he's been totally out of it in his own world, dressed strangely. I don't think he ever knew about it. I'm sure he didn't. Well, once he was wearing a pair of underwear and he was scratched, blood all over his body, hanging off the back of a bus. And I've seen him climbing all over his apartment block trying to get in instead of using the front door. No, he could have hurt himself. But he's not dangerous. He's never hurt anyone else. He's never violent. And that's why he's never really upset us. And he's known us for a long time, so we're okay with him. Well, he's better now. To prevent an attack, Patrick's father is prepared to put up with every whim. The latest, Patrick has brought Vincent back to the house. Vincent is not the first. He's the 7th tenant to share their apartment. Formerly homeless, he is also schizophrenic. Patrick met him at an art therapy workshop, and they've been living together now for 5 months. Do you want a cup of tea, Vincent? No, I'm not really keen on tea. And does the fact that you're both suffering from the same illness make it easier to live together? Not really. You might think so, but no, we're very different from each other. Vincent doesn't have the same symptoms as I do. His are more sociable.
Mystique.
Why, what are your symptoms then? I'm enigmatic. So if one of you is having a fit, then the other can help out? Well, it's difficult to help someone who's having an attack. They don't listen. They're, just fixated by their illusions. But you're quite happy to live together? Yes, we get on well. But, we have our moments. I don't think his father's too happy about me living here. And, well, it's true, I'm not really much at keeping the place tidy, I have to say. Well, Vincent's really untidy, actually. Even I can see that. And I'm not particularly tidy. Yeah, but he's too messy. Vincent's schizophrenia is nothing like Patrick's. Patrick is elated during his moments of delirium. Vincent retreats into himself and ignores the rules of social life. Vincent sleeps on the floor, hardly ever uses the bathroom, and doesn't help with the household chores. For Patrick's father, it's sometimes unbearable. But he doesn't dare speak to his son because he knows how fragile he is. Patrick is extremely fragile. Once he gets something into his head, it could be something happy or sad or something he's seen somewhere, and then he can't stop thinking about it. That's when the trouble starts. I really need to keep an eye on him very, very closely. If he accepts looking after his son, it's also because he feels responsible for his illness. I feel guilty. I'm sure what he has is genetic. And as I'm his biological father, then I feel I'm the one that's responsible for what he's going through. A sense of guilt that has driven Fidi to sacrifice everything to take care of his son, starting with his love life. Well, I've been dating this lady for about 8 years now, and she's always asking me whether it will always be like this. And I say, yes, it will, and don't ever ask me to choose, I tell her. Because you know what the answer will be, and, well, if you don't like it, then you can leave. As long as he can't be permanently cured, there's no other way. Patrick has been my whole life. It's out of love. It's a love that will go on forever. I can't separate myself from him, and I know Patrick can't ever live apart from me. You don't think you can ever be separated? No, it's impossible. It's just not possible. Today, Patrick understands that his medication allows him to prevent attacks and complete his projects. Recognized for the quality of his writing, he has just won a literature competition, and a publisher will soon bring out his first book. At the same time, he continues to paint. His work has already been shown. Now he's preparing his second exhibition. After 4 weeks of attacks, Michael is finally out of bed. This time he's better, and when Michael is better, the whole family feels better. This morning, Monsieur Sommier is fetching in his wood for winter. Michael has even decided to lend him a hand. For the family, this is a major event.
Je préfère qu'il se retrouve
Well, it's better, of course, when he's like this, so that, for example, if I ask him to do something, he reacts and does it. I don't need to ask him the same thing over and over again, like when he's ill, or when he's switched off. Then there's no point even trying when he's like that. It comes down to being able to live independently, to see him free from himself, really, like any other youngster. When he is not having an attack, Michael can even drive a car. He got his license before the illness was apparent. Today, doctors are not against him taking the wheel. I don't drive when I'm ill. I just stay in bed, so I don't get behind the wheel. I stay indoors and do nothing. But once I feel I'm better and up to driving without the risk of accidents or hurting anyone else, well then I go off on the car. Like anyone who's got a driving license. Have you ever had an accident? Well, you could say I had an accident once. It was when I was ill. I was on holiday with my grandparents. And when you're ill, you really don't know what you're doing. And I forgot the highway code and all about the speed limit. And I wasn't paying attention. And then when as I was crossing a bridge over a river, I drove straight into a tree, and luckily the tree stopped the car, otherwise I'd have gone straight on and into the river, and I might no longer be here today. The state of the car says a lot about the force of the collision. At the time, I felt as if I was someone else, a different person, a bad person. So, in a way, it might have been an attempt to kill myself. It was like, why me? Why not someone else? The fact that I survived, it's a miracle. But to really get out of it, Michael must first find a job. He's already worked at teaching students with difficulties. His illness prevented him continuing. Today, he has just received an offer of training. He has an appointment with the employment service in Bordeaux. I think we should be looking at sales of multimedia products now. After all, it's something you know about, know a lot about, in fact. Do you think you'll be able to cope? I'm up for it, yep. So you're up for that. Do you think your motivation will overcome your concerns about sleeping? Or I'm going to try and not think about that and tell myself I'm going to get over this illness. Oh, good for you. Could his absences be a problem? Well, yes, of course they could. We mustn't try and ignore it. After all, if Michael is absent for 2 weeks or a month, then his employer would be within his rights to fire him, quite easily too. But I'm really hopeful that his training will be of great use to Michael and will also stimulate him, and that he'll forget about his sleeping habits and other problems. So he'll just sleep at night times like everybody else. It's a hope that everybody is clinging to, that for the moment, family life is still governed by Michael's health. Whether the memories are good or bad, it always comes back to his illness. Michael when he was a baby, and a few years later, and Michael with his little sister. That one there's more recent. It's the warrior at rest. Yeah, Michael asleep on the beach. That's when he was ill, very ill in fact. But he'd made the effort to come down to the beach with us. It wasn't far, only about 20 meters, but he did it. Does taking the medicines regularly help? I'm not sure really, because he's been taking them for a long time now, but he still lapses occasionally. I don't know. Maybe not. It always seems to come back, so the medicines... what do you think, Michael? You take your pills, but you still get ill sometimes. Yes, but not as much as before. Far less than before. Less than before? Yeah, I think so, yeah. Yeah, you think so? So how long was it the last time then? 4 months between attacks? No, Michael, it wasn't. Yes, it was. No, it wasn't. Yeah, in December, and then in May, there weren't any attacks. But February? Well, that was hardly anything, just 2 days. It hardly counts. Well, I did it on purpose, because I didn't feel like getting up. Oh, so it was on purpose, was it? Well, there are times when I'm happy just to be ill.
Pardon?
You what? Well, sometimes I can't snap out of it. I'm happy to just lie there. Well, I'm glad to hear that it's you who decides whether or not you're going to be ill. Yeah, more or less. The conflict between Michael and his parents is palpable. Perhaps it's a factor that aggravates his illness. To try to cure their son, the Sommiers have undertaken a course of family therapy. Once a month, they go to the psychiatrist, and for nearly 2 hours, each will express his feelings, with nothing held back, with no taboos. Did you think you're too much in the center of attention? You're like a temperature gauge. It's a bit much, isn't it? Yeah, well, I've got problems, and my parents are always around me. I'm not independent enough. I'm at the age when you'd expect to have independence, but I don't. Well, how old are you? 24 soon. And what are your main complaints about your mother and father? Well, I'd say that I didn't want to be like this. Why? Did he say it was your fault? Yes, of course. Well, how did he say it was your fault? Well, he said it. We were the ones who hadn't made him properly. Badly made? Yeah, badly made. It was our fault, he said. It's not just a matter of education, then? No, nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. You see, there are 2 kids in the house, and one has it and the other doesn't. Well, the arrival of a major psychiatric trouble in a home is a phenomenally disruptive event. Often minor psychiatric problems can spread to other members of the family. And Monsieur Sommier was seriously depressed by the reappearance of the illness in his son, because he realized then that there was no quick cure and that it would be a long, long process. Do you remember the first time? Yes. What did you think at the time? Wow, I was thinking lots of things, many of them bad. What were the bad thoughts? Okay, Dad, listen up, this is going to be good. Well, I tried to pick up the nurses, the young ones, and then I was touching them up, I see. You were touching their bottoms? Yeah, all of that. Did it excite you? Yeah, there was this voice that was telling me to do it. I don't know, but the voice was like that of a devil or something that had entered my body and was telling me, do this and do that, otherwise other things will happen to you. So you mean you'd never have touched the nurse's bottoms if it wasn't for the voice? No, never. My husband was banging his head against the wall at the time, saying, it's not him, that's not my son Michael doing this. It's difficult to imagine that it's your child. Something has changed suddenly. And it's no longer them, but it is them, of course. It is him, so it's vital you think of yourself like any other person, that you're not an alien. Thanks to the therapy, Michael's parents have come to accept their son's illness, to stop being ruled by his attacks. Next December, they are fulfilling an old dream, to take a vacation in Australia. A long trip of several weeks, without the children. Magali is anxious. She's going to see her best friend from school. A major step. It's been 6 years since Magali cut ties with her childhood friends. The time for the meeting is near. To deal with her anxiety, Magali has to take tranquilizers. This one's for anxiety attacks, this one's for hallucinations, for hearing voices, imagining things, and this one's for depression. Well, what are you afraid of? I'm afraid she might get too close into my space or talk too loudly, you know, things like that. That's her, isn't it? Hello, Corinne, how are you? Oh, you look nice, all nicely made up. Corinne has continued her studies. She's a second-year business student. Magali had to give up school in 6th grade. Since then, her life has been at a standstill. Her one and only topic of conversation is still the same, the illness she cannot escape. I've changed my medicines. Oh, really? I went through a real bad patch, hallucinations and stuff like that, so I've changed. This illness is really unbearable. Well, it's like I told you, you need to be strong. Before, Magali was full of life. We used to get up to all sorts of things. She loved to dance, she was really dynamic, and, well, now... She might be able to live with her schizophrenia, like others, by receiving the right treatment. But she has to find the courage to meet others, to get out of the house. While she stays inside, she'll never get better. Well, I've told her she can come by and see me anytime she wants. No problem. All right, so when are you coming? Ha! That's the question. I don't know. I don't know. You realize it's the illness that's stopping me. It's not up to me. It's not easy. Their reunion lasted half an hour. An achievement for Magali. For the moment, an achievement with no tomorrow. To date, she still hasn't seen her friend again.